Good afternoon. Happy 4th of July weekend or whatever it is wherever you are. Not legal advice with a K. Like, subscribe, share. Ask any questions, comment, please. All that is appreciated. This is pure speculation, and this is dedicated in part to all the Canadians out there. So the joke, we'll see if this is a joke. Uh, will glass coffins be a success? Remains to be seen. Anyway, I wanted to talk a little bit about Canaccord, and I stumbled upon this looking at today some stuff that was talked about Canaccord and about filings they made this week, I think. And it says Canaccord is facing regulatory investigation into its market making activities. And kind of what kind of discovered is it late on Wednesday, I think that would have been June 28th, Canaccord, which is Canadian based but has a subsidiaries in other places, including the United States and I think in Europe also. They issued their annual information form, and from that form and various articles, interesting information appeared. And based on that information, I thought that's interesting to consider, and perhaps people can use that for advantage or not. But I'm not going to be the judge of that. But I wanted to present my kind of thought process, and for whatever it's worth, it may not be worth a lot. So I'm just going to throw out some information, and you can draw your own conclusion. So as I said, Canaccord is a Canadian-based corporation, and the stock price of Canaccord, it peaked sometime in I think it's early February of 2023, and then dropped substantially over 30% by June of 2023. I thought the time frame of the drop was interesting vis-a-vis MMTLP. And again, we're starting off that, remember, Canaccord has admitted there's a regulatory investigation. So this is not us trying to get the SEC or FINRA or Canadian counterparts to acknowledge that event, because Canaccord was nice enough to do it in their filing. So we start off with that. And that's why, and also in part, this is directed not just at MMTLP, but all shareholders who believe they've been victims of naked shorting or similar conduct, whether that be GTII, FNGR, GNUS, AMC, all those initials, all of them. But one case may help everybody else. So that's why I thought it was important at least to throw out and let people decide if it has any value. So what's the relevance of Canaccord? Canaccord is deemed to, or may have been, one of the, or at least is speculated to have been, one of the two market makers that led to the trading of MMTLP without authorization in or about September, October 2021. And so they've been under suspicion. And we received some kind of FOIA reply related to MMTLP investigation, about April 1 of 2023, and that disclosed the fact there were multiple investigations into the MMTL matter, NextBridge, etc. It didn't define the investigations, and in some future FOIA replies, it asserted that there were investigations ongoing, but it just referred to investigations. So we knew they were investigations, but we just did not know what it applied to. So we bring it to their filing, and we get in the filing, they acknowledge that they are facing a significant penalty related to their money market business. And this filing, again, is near the end of June 2023. So I think that time frame is significant. They also, at the same time, and I think this is significant too, they indicated that the chairman of the board and the largest shareholder of Canaccord is leaving. Maybe good timing for him, I don't know. Beyond that, they indicated there's an enforcement action pending. So if the SEC were involved, it was investigating the market making activities of Canaccord, for example, that would be the SEC. But if it's an enforcement action, that would be handled by FINRA. So, according to my reading and my view, and again, I'm just putting this puzzle together without knowing the accurate facts, but just based upon what I see here, that means that both the SEC and FINRA could be handling investigations as to the conduct of Canaccord with regard to MMTLP. The timing does seem to fit within a reasonable box. The drop in the stock to me is suspicious. The fact that the chairman of the board is leaving is suspicious. The fact that they've acknowledged the regulatory activity and it could face a substantial fine is concerning to me. What also is interesting is there was an attempt by management to buy out Canaccord. So in May, apparently, while this transaction was May of 2023, while this transaction was, there was an attempt to complete this transaction, they were indicated that there was a regulatory problem, a significant regulatory problem. And when the deal fell through, which I think is the middle of June of 2023, they indicated there was a regulatory issue. They couldn't get regulatory sign-off. So that leads me to believe that that regulatory issue is related to MMTLP or something along the lines of MMTLP. So I thought of that. Could it be something else? Yeah, it certainly could be. But if the SEC or Canadian equivalent are investigating Canaccord because of their market activities and aren't investigating MMTLP related to Canaccord's purported activities, then we should make them aware of that, shouldn't we? Because if they don't know, if they don't understand MMTLP's potential involvement in a prosecution or civil proceeding against Canaccord, then the regulators and perhaps Congress should be made aware of that. And perhaps Congress should contact the SEC and ask about this specific investigation. Because who knows, when one party is investigated, where it goes. And if one party flips, so Canaccord, perhaps they flip at some point in time. Will they be making some offer? Will they be disclosing other people? What also I found was interesting in my reading of the stuff, and I call it the stuff, was sometime this year, I think March or April, they increased their legal reserves. So they basically have a pile of money just for legal stuff. They apparently increased it by something on the order of like $15 million. And $15 million was significant because their prior pile of money was something on the order of $4 million. So they ended up throwing a whole big pile of money off to the side in or about March or April, just in case they had to deal with this big issue. And I'm sure they must have insurance too. So their insurance would probably cover that. That could be even a deductible insurance. Who knows? So the fact that they indicated there were regulatory problems gives you a kind of an in also in contacting either FINRA, the SEC, or anything like that. Because ultimately the issue is if you contacted them, they'll say they can't comment on ongoing investigations. You can now approach them and say, Canaccord's acknowledged ongoing regulatory investigations. So we just want to make sure you have all the information as to MMTLP to make sure that if you weren't pursuing Canaccord as to MMTLP, we could help you. And, by the way, their response to just that offer might give you a lot of information. Sometimes, the way people respond to questions takes you in a certain direction. So that certainly, I think, is an avenue based upon Canaccord acknowledging the regulatory activity. I think it really opens the door. I think also the same applies as to Congress. So to the extent that you want to approach Congress or members of Congress or whoever with regard to the Canaccord investigation, you could point this out and you could point out your unique facts, whether it's MMTLP or GTII or some other ticker. And again, this is not guessing about regulatory activity. This is acknowledgement by the potential offender. So I think that is really, really helpful. And, no matter whatever is garnered from this will help everybody, because I have a feeling that there'll be a lot of common characters and all will be in the same boat. So it's kind of like, I'm going to summarize to see if I can summarize. So we have an admission of a regulatory activity. It's in a subsidiary. So it's not in Canada, but it's from a Canadian company. MMTLP has a lot of Canadian investors. There was a stock price drop. There was the timing of the stock price drop. There's the resignation of the chairman of the board. There is a management team buyout that is failed because of a regulatory issue sometime that it seems to have arisen in 2023. And there's a whole bunch of things. So again, I'm not telling you to go to the SEC or FINRA and make a whistleblower complaint about Canaccord. That's really up to you. But I think we should make sure that nothing is missed. And to the extent that any of you do follow up with the appropriate agencies, whether it be in the United States or in Canada, you get my props for doing that, and I appreciate that. But it seems like to me that this disclosure, June 28th, adds a lot of questions. And again, the fact that FINRA and the SEC apparently will be involved also makes this an interesting situation. So consider it. Fire any questions my way. I might be doing a live stream with JR tomorrow on this. So talk then. Be well. Take care. Have a great 4th.